to start at that. Are you willing sometime in the future to consider a catchweight fight with either Canelo Alvarez or Andy Ward when the time is right?
No, seriously no. I like boxing because boxing is a big lesson for me. No, just okay. Yeah, I'm a fighter. Just I want to box. I like to box. I love box.
To clarify that, no, he feels that the divisions are the divisions. There's no reason that if Andre is a 168-pound champion, we'll fight him 168. If Canelo's 154, or he wants to move up to 160, then we'll fight 160. There's a reason why they have weight divisions.
To all three of you, do you feel that it's fair for your fighter as a team to have to move up or down when there's so many people in your division? I mean, it seems like HBO is getting as many super middleweights and middleweights as possible, clearly for Golovkin, but they also have an angle in pushing him towards Andre Ward. Is it fair for you and your fighter to have to move up to 168 to fight Ward? Yes, it's a big fight, but is it fair?
I can answer that question because we've had a lot of discussions about that in the past. The priority is definitely for Gennady to stay at middleweight, and there's a lot more to prove at middleweight for him. There's a lot of champions, like we just discussed. Matthew Macklin was one of the top names at middleweight, but there's a lot of other great names. With that being said, if there's a big fight at 168 or 154, a compelling fight that makes sense, he's willing to do that. Right now, we don't think it's the right time, but if there's a fight against the Canelo at 154, against the Mayweather at 154, or if Andre Ward, he's still, he's still kind of recovering right now for the injuries, but if that becomes a compelling fight down the road, then that would make sense. But that's only going to be a fight by choice between Abel and Gennady if they move up to 168.
Now, Ward said tonight that he's ready for Golovkin, but that if we ask his team, that you'll say Golovkin needs 1 to 2 years.
I mean, Abel can probably answer that better. I don't think Golovkin needs any time to fight anyone. I think a fight like that is a huge fight if it became a reality between Gennady and Andre Ward, but that's a fight that would take time just to make sense. And that's not backing out of the fight, it just wouldn't make sense at this particular time. Abel can answer that as well.
You know, I'm not always politically correct, but I've told you in the past, you have to shame these guys into accepting a fight. They keep talking, but all they do is talk. Andre's got to come to the table, call Tom Lawfer. I say that consistently, call Tom Lawfer. There's a lot of fights that can be made, but all of a sudden they want so much money that they can't be made. So, shame. You guys have to shame these guys into fighting. All the names that you're mentioning are just talking.
But the promoter is saying it's not the right time for a Ward fight.
As Andre called it. This is the star here. Andre needs to call Tom.
We feel, and again, we went into this with the, I think the 2-day series touched on it a little bit. We all have a lot of respect for Andre Ward. He's clearly the best 168-pound fighter out there. With that being said, a fight like that, where Gennady were to move up, it just takes time. It wouldn't make sense to move up right away and fight the top guy at 168 when he's still building his name at 160. You'll see with the ratings and the HBO campaign that they did around this fight that he's still building his name, and there's a lot of names at 160 that make a lot of sense. But that fight, if Andre stays at 168, that fight probably next year would make a lot of sense. It's not that he's not ready for it, it just wouldn't make sense from a promotion standpoint. Why would you shortchange more fighters when that fight could be a monster fight next year as opposed to rushing it? That's the part that doesn't make sense.
Tom, question for you and Gennady. The nature of this fight being short, I know that you guys have maybe a date in November at the Garden. Gennady, is it your preference to fight before November and then get to that fight, or after that fight to complete your 5 fights this year?
That's a good time for me in November. I can't in September too. Maybe in September. I have time. I have a date.
Tom, your thoughts?
We have the next HBO date is set for November. However, there are 2 other options in August and September that we'll weigh and decide which one makes the most sense for him. We still definitely want to fight 5 times this year. We wanted to make a statement this year of Gennady being one of the most active champions around. And if right now he has 3 fights, this was the 3rd fight on HBO, but the 3rd title offense this year. And the next HBO date would be November. However, if an opportunity came up in between that,